Marty Olsen, your host, and I'm really excited this evening. I've got two terrific guests. It's a little bit of a different kind of program tonight, and I think you guys are going to enjoy hearing from I think they're permanent Valentines here. These guys have been married for 49 years, and I think when you see them, you'll see that they're like Valentine's every day.
Thank you.
And I think it's a special couple, and I'm delighted to have Gilda and Chris James, and welcome to City Focus.
Thank you so much, Marty. It's good to be here.
And we're going to discuss your life and how you actually connected with me, Gilda. That, to me, was kind of an interesting way to reach out. But if you don't mind, I think I'm going to just give credit where credit is due. We had some promos for this program.
That's right.
And with your brother, Harry Thomas, and a gentleman I've known since kindergarten, Glenn Linder, put out some promos on Facebook and also rolled here on SEC TV. This specific program, I want to thank them. And they're in the control room now watching the show. So I want them to know that their efforts are greatly appreciated.
Yes, thank you.
Beautiful work.
Yes.
So, but what was interesting to me is it's been a number of years now that Gilda reached out to me on Facebook, on Messenger actually, and asked me if I knew Eric Olsen.
Yes, I did.
And I said, well, actually I do. Eric is my brother. And for those who know, I mean, my brother's been deceased a long time, but she mentioned that they were classmates and that they were on the swim team. And she remembered Eric as a butterfly swimmer.
Oh, yes, he was a great swimmer, great swimmer.
So that was the connection from her to me, was through my brother. And through that, over the course of time, a terrific friendship has developed.
That's correct.
And it's been primarily via Facebook messaging. We exchange greetings pretty much on a daily basis, and
we do.
And through this friendship, I've got a chance to meet you.
Yes.
And it's been really a lot of fun, and learning about you guys and what you do. And your experiences in life, I think, are extraordinary, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, you've done an awful lot of neat things. You've been all over the world.
That's right.
Yeah, and Chris, you're a Navy guy.
Yes, sir.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience with the Navy? What brought you in, and where'd you come from, and how'd you end up in Southeastern Connecticut?
That's correct.
That's a lot of great questions. Let's start with the easy ones. I came to the Navy back in '72 and did my basic training in San Diego. That was back when the Navy had 3 different stations that they did their basic training. They're down to 1 now, but we'll get to that later. San Diego, from there I went to Vallejo. That's where I did my initial schooling, and that's where the first big question came up. The question was, do you want to serve on submarines or on surface ships? At the time, I was primarily looking at aircraft carriers. I said, well, you know, that sounds like a lot of fun. But out of the blue, I'm not sure exactly what the influence was. I got this crazy idea, I want to try submarines. And that meant flying from the West Coast to the East Coast. I'd never done the East Coast before my entire life. So one bright and sunny, I believe it was June afternoon, I find myself at the submarine base in Groton, Connecticut. Showing up there as a 3rd class, they instantly put me on the watch rotation, and my job was I had a barracks. I had a whole barracks to watch. And pretty boring normally. You take a few tours, sit down in your office, and nothing happens. Well, the phone rang. And although there were pay phones out in the common area, my office phone rang. And apparently someone was looking for I can't think of his name, but he was supposed to meet a party over at the bowling alley. And they thought maybe he didn't get the word. So I looked through the barracks, didn't find the guy. I explained it to the person on the phone. Sorry, he's not here. They hung up, and I went back to my boring watch again, and the phone rang again. Same person, looking for the same guy. I said, I just looked, but I'll look again. Okay, so I looked again. He's not there. And I forwarded that to the person on the phone, and they hung up. Well, they were satisfied, and they hung up. They called again, third time. And I said, if this is the same person, I'm not even going to talk. I'll just hang the phone up and pretend I didn't hear it. But for some reason, I decided, well, let me look one more time. So I did. I looked, and the guy was actually outside waiting for them to come by. I guess they'd gotten their signals crossed, didn't know where they were meeting at, so he's waiting for them there. Says, hey, the folks you're waiting for over at the bowling alley, they called 3 times. You may want to hurry up and get over there. So he thanked me and left. I'll say maybe a week passed, and the barracks I actually stayed in was right in front of a swimming area, and I met a few people there, and the story came back that I stood duty in one of the barracks, and I said, yeah, my first day here I was standing duty there. And then I was asked, do you remember getting a phone call about 3 times? I said, you know what, yeah, I did. It was the weirdest thing I ever heard. But she kept calling, looking for someone else, you know. But yeah, she was the one doing all the phone calls. Yeah, I remember that. And that was when Gilda said, well, that was me. You know what I'm saying? Oh, okay. So why'd you call 3 times? Will you answer?
Oh, because I was interested in him.
And I liked your
voice. The way he sounded on the phone. And we met. And the funny thing, we met at the submarine base. There was a swim area. Was it a man-made lake?
It was, yeah.
Man-made lake. So I met him at the lake, and all these romantic stories. I met him at the lake.
It's a family program now. Let's remember that.
We'll keep that in mind.
I met him at the lake, and so I said to him, he wanted me to swim over to another platform out there. I said,
remember, your brother and she were on the swim team.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I said that I couldn't make it.
She said she couldn't swim.
And so so Chris jumps in the water. Was there an inner tube you brought me over?
Yeah, there was a large black inner tube I delivered, and she got on it, and
Yeah. So
that was our first, not even a date, but that was our first meeting.
That was our first meeting at the lake.
Yep.
Yeah.
Of course.
So you didn't know you were a lifesaver, huh?
Well, I'd been called a lot of things, but no, that would have been first. One real quick.
This is all new to me,
entry.
folks. So this is.
The final entry was her dad served in the Navy, also in submarines, and I guess he at this point had wondered where his doors had wandered off to. So they saw him way before I did. So he's coming up to the area where we're swimming. I'm talking to her, and this is after I deliver her a inner tube so she can get back safe to the water. I guess her and her sister saw her father coming, dove into the water like 2 torpedoes, and were at the dock before I even knew what was going on. And I kind of sat there on the platform, and they all left, and I kind of waved, and that was the end of it. But all of a sudden, I can swim now, and
Yeah, that's how we met.
Yeah.
Back in the 70s, it was summer romance.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah.
Well, that's a fascinating story here. I'm
Boy,
telling you.
Chris made it so long. I didn't think that.
And 49 years later, here you are on City Focus.
That's right.
Yes,
Still doing it.
yes.
It was meant to be that you'd be here.
That's right. That's right. That is so true.
Yeah. And another place that I have observed you as a couple, and that was at Connecticut Sun Games, because for years I was a season ticket holder, and you guys I think were on courtside.
Yes.
Along with Harry. I don't know if you sat with Harry or not, but I would see the folks sitting in front of you walking back and forth, and you guys were at all the games. And, I didn't know who you were, but you just faces you see and that you remembered. And that was just kind of interesting. It's just that little common thread there with the women's basketball up at the casino.
Oh, we love the women's basketball.
Yeah, we used to call them our Sun family, and there were quite a few people that were at all the events, all the games. But yeah, our Sun family.
Take pictures of the basketball players.
Yeah, we were doing a movie or a commercial the day that they came up from Orlando.
Oh, really?
And I was trying to convince Harry that we should get season tickets. And Harry said, well, I don't know. And her sister said the same thing, well, I don't know. I said, well, I'll tell you what, let's just buy 2 tickets, and if it turns out to be something we enjoy doing, we'll expand from there. And I bought the first 2 season tickets, and the next season Harry went out and got his own, courtside, of course. But yeah,
it was right next to the announcing booth.
That's right.
Yes,
that's right.
yes.
Center court.
That's
yes,
it.
Yes.
Big time Harry. But yeah, that was the idea we took when they first came up from Orlando.
Yeah, that's terrific. Now, through your Navy career, where did that take you? I mean, before we came on the air, you'd mentioned Italy, and
Oh, yes.
so I mean, you've had an opportunity as a family unit then to go hither and yon, and it's kind of like some of those old Navy ads. Join the Navy and see the world, and you actually saw the world.
That was my intention when I came in '72. I thought they'd give me a sea bag, put me on a cruiser, and next thing I see would be a desert island with hula dancers. I was quite surprised when the Navy put me through school for almost 2 years after initially signing up in '72. So once I met Gilda in '74, we were married, and my first assignment was to one of the boomers, the 6 out, 6 in, 6 month out, 6 month in type of rotations. And I believe I did 4 tours, on the USS Kashmir Pulaski. That was my very first boat. Not much to see. We left here, went to Scotland, but it was a fairly family-friendly assignment. I was spending at least half the year home, and I think during that time my daughter was born, so that was a great thing. As she got older, I was assigned to a submarine tender deployed in La Maddalena, Italy. So I was fortunate enough to take my family to Italy for 3 years. So that was my second assignment, and it was a perfect family focused, family-centered type of assignment. It was beautiful.
Well, what I want to say about Italy, when Chris told me that we was headed to Italy.
He knows.
Okay. I was kind of excited and sad because I had to leave home because I never left home. So, and then once I got over there, I heard that there was no telephone. That was the worst thing to tell me once I got over there. No telephone, because everyone likes to be on the phone.
Yeah.
Right?
We didn't have internet or smartphones back then. All we had was a telephone.
Yes.
And
So it was not easy 3 years living there. But you get to know the people, and because they have military people there too that speak English. So it wasn't so bad. It wasn't so bad. We had to visit more, but can't pick up the phone and call them.
Yeah.
A little different, but a little different culture, different
Yeah.
environment, but
Yeah.
you learn and you adapt and you move on.
Yes,
that's great.
yes.
Yeah.
But it was a big shock to me. I said, oh no phones.
Yeah, you find the joy, and there was plenty of joy in that assignment. We toured Italy,
Yes,
we
we
toured
did.
Spain. I've got a mad love for Spain. All through the Mediterranean, we were, the unit that I was on would deploy about every 3 months to a submarine and then come right back. But we'd be out for like a week to 10 days. And at least half of those deployments, Gilda went with me. And
Yes.
so she'd meet us at the particular port, and we'd tour, we'd see things. And of course, she'd catch a ferry or a flight back, and we'd, of course, take the ship back. But those 3 years were great time for the family. It was excellent.
That's good.
I enjoyed it.
It was beautiful.
Now, your daughter, Christina, is now currently in San Antonio.
Yes,
Right.
Now, she your only child,
she is.
Yes.
She is.
Yes.
and she's got children. So you're not just grandparents, but you're
Great.
No,
great grandparents.
Great grandparents.
Yes, we are.
My eldest, my only grandson, Logan, is now 26 years old. He has a daughter that's, she turns 5, I think.
4 or 5.
I think she's 5. She turns 5 next month.
Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
They're all down in Texas,
all
right?
down in
Yeah, all in
Texas.
Texas, yeah.
My granddaughter is Aaliyah. She's 16. You know, so yeah, I'm feeling very old. Very old. But
And then we have, we may be having another grandson coming up, great grandson.
yeah, there's rumor of another grandson.
Yes.
I'm sorry, great grandson. But I'm getting way ahead of myself. My grandson, Logan, is considering following his granddad in the military. And we'll find out more about that the next couple of days. But he should be enlisting within the next couple of weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
all excited about that.
Gotta take care of the babies.
Well, yeah, that too. But I'm all excited about that.
Well, you have plans, don't you, to relocate to Texas at some point?
I think the plan at this point is to find the warmth. If it's in Texas, that's
Yes.
great. If it's in Arizona, that's even better. I was born and raised in California. My first experience in the cold was the first winter I spent in Connecticut. It was not fun, and yet that was about over 50 years ago. So I'm still here. I'm
You've
looking,
adapted.
Yeah.
which is a good thing sometimes, but come on. But yes, one day we probably pretty soon, next couple of years, perhaps moving a little further south.
Well, I mean, you were in Southeastern Connecticut, and you have noted when we were over dinner that you had moved to Lowell, Mass, from,
Yes.
from Mystic about 8 years ago.
Yes.
So you've
Correct.
come down for this program tonight, and I thank you.
Oh, no
Coming
problem.
from Lowell, which is a good couple-hour drive, and I really appreciate
Oh,
you
no problem.
making the effort. Again, I'll give Harry a pat on the back because he helped broker this and
He did.
Oh, yes, he did.
help make this happen. So one of these days I got to get him on that side of the table. He's been tough to crack on that, but
He'd be great.
Yes, he was.
I mean, he's a professional in the field. I mean, we're promoting you as actors tonight, and you do that. So,
Yes.
and we will get into that. But I think that the level that Harry functions at and what you're doing are different things.
Exactly.
Right, right.
We followed him in. We
That's
followed
right.
him
He
in.
got, he got us in
Yeah,
to acting.
back in the
Once,
90s.
yeah, once we came up from, we were stationed in Florida, and Chris got orders to come up to Connecticut, and so Harry was the one that got us into acting.
Harry's been acting since, oh my God, the 80s. Spencer for Hire, working almost regularly out of Boston. Yeah, we were following Harry. So yes,
Yes.
he would be quite the catch to get him on the show.
Now, you've been doing this then for decades. This is not
Yeah.
new.
Yes.
This is not
Yes.
something new.
No,
Never
it's
heard
not.
it that way before. It has been decades, hasn't it?
And so, shine a little light on how you got into it and the type of work that you've done or are doing, and what do you enjoy about it? I mean, are you working primarily in New England, or do you Do they have you get up and go to Hollywood or New York, or are you working in Nashua, New Hampshire, or something?
For the most part, we don't. We're not represented by any particular agency. Most of the jobs that we find, Gilda finds, are basically.
I do the seeking.
Right, they're basically promulgated for any union actor.
So you're members of the Screen Actors Guild and the
Yes.
SAG.
Yes,
Yes.
and it's been great opportunities. As far as locations, we've worked as far, I guess, south as Maryland, and as
Yes.
far north as New Hampshire. Was that Maine?
It could be Maine too.
I can't recall. Oh no, I was in Silent House Rules, and that was in Maine.
Okay.
All right, so and as far as Hollywood, we've been there once, and I got to carry her bags for the
For the
for the
convention.
SAG convention. What year was that? About 4 years
Years
ago.
ago,
Yeah.
yes.
So yeah, I've been to Hollywood.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has. But I think it's.
But are you doing commercials? Are you doing? I mean, do you get speaking parts? Are you extras? Are you background actors? What type of work are you doing? The same kind of work?
Okay,
Or are each of you doing
okay.
something a little different?
Well, well, didn't get into it until after he retired. He didn't want to do anything until he retired from his last job. So now he's fully retired, and we're doing things together as far as putting in work. You know, if it's in Mass, if it's in Rhode Island, you know, if we have to go to New York.
Right.
But we just put in as background.
Well, background.
Basically.
On occasion, we put in for commercials. Not a lot there, but as far as the types of work, there's been, of course, background, but there've been several stand-in positions that both I and Gilda have had. Commercials. I did a Snickers commercial in Foxborough a few years back, and that was the coldest day I can remember being in the uniform. But I was a referee, in fact. But the type of work, because it is more of advertised catch as catch can, it's nothing really directed by an office or a professional or let's say in this case an agent. We're simply grabbing notices that come about looking for union actors, and if they like what we do, we're normally hired.
Yes.
Now there have been a few, one or two jobs where there actually was a bit more than just background or stand-in. I did one role in what was, I guess it was called Brotherhood, where I actually did day work. But again, that's rare. And I promised Gilda that I would start looking more for that type of work now that I retired from the Veterans Administration, which is the reason I went to Boston.
Yeah,
the
also,
VA.
and also acting classes too.
So I'm focusing more on the acting now, taking classes and looking for those positions that would elevate or move me closer to where Harry is right now. The whole idea is I do have time for that now.
Yeah.
I didn't have time before.
Now you've been in films.
Yes.
In part of the promo, but Amistad was mentioned.
That was the first one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amistad was the very first movie that me and Chris became union.
Yep. You asked once before what were some of the big things. Let me turn this thing off because it's making way too much noise. What were some of the big things that happened in the movies that I can, take credit for or be proud of, or at least say it was exceptional? The very first movie, Amistad, where we worked about 3 weeks on that movie.
Yes.
There were some cold days, some odd days, but it was all new because it was, it was the movies, for heaven's sakes. There's nothing bad about it. But we're out in the cold one night doing a shot that later wasn't even used in the movie. But Morgan Freeman basically was in that shot with 5 extras. And we shot it about maybe 5 times, and finally, that was it. Mr. Freeman made the statement, I'm not sure how many times you're going to shoot this, but I'm cold, and I'm sure these guys are cold. We're going inside. And that ended it. But what had happened once before with Mr. Freeman, we were in another set inside of a church, and he's extremely, extremely friendly. He's not, the kind of guy to come out of the fact that we're working and this is business, but he's friendly to the point to where he'll nod, he'll make a friendly gesture.
At ease, he's friendly.
Yes, extremely so. But at one point, we all came over. We were getting ready to set up our shot, and I tell this story all the time. I just heard from a friend of mine another angle of that same story. Morgan Freeman offered me an Altoid, and I was wow, sure, I took it. And so I tell everybody, yeah, we're buddies. Like, he gave you an Altoid. He says, maybe you had bad breath. And I said, okay, that just ruined it.
Well, I think it's because you're just being darn friendly.
That's what I think.
I think so.
I'll go with that.
And a lot of times in the movies when we work together going into the movie, but we don't work together on the set.
Yeah.
We can separate on the set. But they may want Chris to be over here and want me to be over there, and sometimes we be together. So we never know once we accept the job, working for production. You never know where we're going to be, and you never know. And the other thing that really gets me is directions.
Oh, there are always several sets of directions.
Yes, there are always several sets of directions. So just to get there, you're thinking you're going the right way, you're going the wrong way. I don't know why, but it always happens.
Isn't that why they have directors, supposed to keep you on point there with that stuff?
It would be great, except you have second and assistant and second.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
it can be a little confusion there. But as an experience, can't match it. Can't beat it. You can't beat it.
Well, I know that Gilda really enjoys this. She's attempted to get me involved. And,
Yes. You should.
And it just hasn't worked out. But it's not due to lack of effort on her part or interest on mine, for that matter. But just a quick aside on Amistad, and that is that Spielberg did New London an injustice with that movie, because he opens with, the boat goes into New Haven.
Yeah.
And actually, its first port of call was New London.
Yes, it was.
The Custom House in New London.
Yes, it was. Still on Bank Street, right?
That's correct. And that was cutout. That was not part of the film.
Yeah.
So I like to bring that up. To give New London its due.
That's right.
There was one street, I can't recall the name of the street, but it was off of Bank Street, and oh God, it's a very historic street, and I can't recall exactly when, but I was told that there were shots, or there were a portion of the movie that was shot on that street that was about a block from Bank Street. I could be wrong, but that's what I was told, because that historic street is still in New London.
Yes.
And their homes there, they were over 100 years old.
The Blinman Street or Shaw Street?
Oh, God. I've gone that route so many times now, I can't recall the name of the street, but I pass it. But I was told by one of the people who played, I think she was a nun in the movie.
Okay.
And she said that's where they had her stationed at.
Yeah. Now, what other film credits do you guys have? Obviously, certainly a blockbuster. Anything else that...
Film credits I had was on... it was filmed in Connecticut. Cuba Gooding Jr.
Oh, the name of that movie was...
I can't think of the name of the movie. Where's my crib notes?
Yes, Cuba Gooding Jr. did a slavery movie.
Yes, and that was... I can't think of the name of it.
I want to call it Freedom, but I'm not sure the name of it now.
I think it is. It is Freedom.
I'm not 100% of the name, but there was a scene where I think it was they were planning an escape, and they had a group of women in one of the quarters were outside Cuba, and a few others were planning their escape. But yeah, I think Gilda had
Yeah, inside the
feature
cabin.
there.
Yeah, inside the cabin, all the black women was in shackles.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
wasn't
and I was one of them, and we had to lay there doing the shot, right? And it was very awkward, you know, because we had to lay on the hard floor. It got to be realistic. The floor was hard, you know.
Weren't you also used as a body double in that movie? Your hands?
Another one, I think it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it was not an easy shot to be in, you know. I mean, real shackles. I never had shackles on my arm, so it was an experience for me to be, you know, laying down there with all the women shackled, you know, legs and hands.
Yeah.
So it was a tough scene for me, a tough scene. But yes, I got in the credits for that.
Yeah. Yep, she actually received credit for that movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, you know, one of the things that you know, when Gilda reached out to me, you had already moved to Lowell,
Okay.
and because you've been very active since you moved up there. I mean, you're active.
Yes,
You're active in the community. You're active in the local senior center.
Yes,
You've
I am.
also gotten active in the local Screen Actors Guild.
Yes. Go ahead.
And I bring this up because, I mean, another area where we have connected
Yes.
is that, I mean, I've been very active politically here in London, and she looked for a little guidance in terms of
And
Oh,
gave
yes,
me
I
wonderful
remember.
guidance.
what should she do
remember
to
that.
try to connect in her quest to get elected to
Right.
Yeah.
her positions in the union,
Yep.
as well as in your local senior center. So
Yes.
she's asked me to read and in some instances do a little writing and editing for some of her material. And I must say that most of it you seem to have done very successful. So
Thank
Let,
you.
let, let
so
me
if I'm
say,
able to help this to Skosh,
that was tremendous. Oh my goodness, I saw the editing. That was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes. I'm a board member for the Screen Actors Guild, and also I am in Lowell Council on Aging on Aging.
Yeah,
I'm
Council
sorry,
on Aging.
COA.
Yeah. Council on Aging. It's a hard one.
Hard word to say. Council on
I think
Aging.
it's important. I mean, you're new in the community, but you've jumped in, you know, both feet first, and
Yep.
you've gone in and you want to get involved, and you're doing good work.
Oh yes, I love my community. Yeah, it's gonna be hard for me to leave because it's
we'll-
gonna happen one day.
Yeah. We'll put it off as long as we can, but yes, it will have to happen one day.
Chris is also active in his community when he was working with the VA.
Well, yeah, that was
Yeah.
a job, though.
Well, that's a job, but you know, some of the things that you did, you didn't have to go out to and do, like the help with deliver the groceries to the people that in need.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you didn't have to volunteer for that.
Okay, but it's still part of the job.
He's a part of the job.
Yeah. She was
I
talking about.
think he does.
It was an initiative that we had at
She's
the
complimenting
VA.
you, Chris. You know what you're saying?
And I'm,
That's right. Yeah.
Thank you.
There you go. There you
I
go.
think I'll take a lead on that one.
Yeah, there you go.
That's probably the
There you
easier way out. But
But you've also worked on Elections Guild. You've gotten involved
Yes,
there
the
in town,
polls.
so you've gotten involved within the political sphere a little bit,
Yes.
not as an elected official in town, but within the party, and work on election day and
Right.
primaries
Yes.
and things like that.
Oh, that was fun because in fact, I got Chris going. Started last year.
we may see a theme here.
That's right. I got Chris going.
Well,
And so Chris said, "Oh, he really enjoyed it. So he's going to be back next year." Yes,
Well, that's good.
I really enjoy it. That's working in the community. I do. I try to stay active.
Yeah, and you do a good job. Now,
Thank
you have been involved with the Screen Actors Guild now for a while, and you've recently gotten elected, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah.
there was a point there where you guys kind of broke some ground
Yes.
as
Yes.
a African American couple
That's
Right.
right.
getting elected in that capacity at the same time.
That's
This would
right.
be a first, yeah.
Yeah, that was the first.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, Marty, the only reason I did that was because the 2 years prior, when she was elected as a board member and was invited to the convention out in Hollywood, I could only go as a bag carrier. I did run and was elected convention delegate.
Yes, you
So, so that year, I had every anticipation to go with her to Hollywood, having someone carry my bags. But, as life would have it, that was in the midst of the COVID epidemic,
Oh my goodness.
and they canceled.
They canceled.
Yeah.
Everything went on Zoom.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
no trip to Hollywood, no bags to carry.
Yeah, he was a little disappointed.
Well, why don't you share a little bit about what you do? I mean, you've been elected to union positions, and what are your jobs? Who are you representing, and what are you supposed to be doing and protecting and advocating for?
Well, as a board member, I take care of the SAG members, if they have any type of problems, they either come to me or one of the board members, and what we do, we try to help solve the problem.
One of the other committees that she's on within the New England SAG board is a committee that's looking more at what is being done specifically for and the treatment received by senior SAG members. In other words, it's probably a old story in Hollywood. The older you get, the fewer the obligations, the fewer the jobs, the fewer the chances. But that sort of flies in the face of the fact that what we make as screen actor members are stories. We create stories. We tell stories in a way that it's more visceral. You can actually see it. Okay, those stories involve older people. How can stories be presented through any medium without representation of older people? And so you'd be amazed what they do to get around that. But the idea is, we figure if representation is being made for those older people, things have got to get better. And what they're looking to get done is, first off, letting people know that older actors are very, very heavily sought after. We can't tell a story without proper representation. You can't say this is about an older couple and you show a 30 or 40-year-old couple. But the thing is, seniors don't know that. Seniors don't even apply for these positions. Oftentimes you'll see a job go out 30 to 90, and a whole bunch of 35 and 40-year-olds show up. The 70, 80, 90s never show
Yeah.
up. So part of what Gilda and her committee is doing is simply letting senior people know, elder people know, that there are jobs out there. All they need to do is make themselves known to the casting people, and they will be placed. Because you can't tell a story without the proper representation.
Yes, that is so true.
Now, a couple of years ago, you were deeply involved with the legislation in Massachusetts.
Yes. Yes.
Through the union. Perhaps you could expound on that in terms of what to keep work in Massachusetts and New England.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I was out there. I wouldn't say picketing.
Yes, I would call that picketing.
Yeah.
Yes, there were signs.
Yeah, it was
Yes.
sign. I was out there picketing in front of the
State House.
State House. That's what it. Couldn't think. Went blind. In front of the State House, representing to save our jobs, because we was going to lose our jobs and that's why I was there.
Yep.
And it was a long day, and it was a lot of people that was out there. But I think from being out there representing the union, it was worthwhile because in the long run we end up keeping our job.
Yeah, the initiative got a lot of traction through that through the picketing,
Yeah, to the media.
and it well,
This was to renew existing legislation, if
Yes.
I'm not mistaken. I mean, if it had expired,
Right.
it,
It was coming close to expiring.
and the whole initiative was to basically remove the expiration date
Yes.
that they placed on it. So the initiative was already proven to be very successful. Yet, it was, I guess, it was a test phase or test proclamation, whatever. But it had an expiration date.
Yeah.
The movement was to remove that expiration date and to allow it to continue,
Yes.
and they were successful. And my goodness, that was probably the most fruitful summer that New England area has ever seen as far as productions and movies. And there's, I think, a couple of series sprung out of that. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was extremely productive.
Yes. Going out there. That was several years ago. About
It was,
4
it was
years.
before the pandemic.
Yeah, before the 4 years. That was a long time, but it all worked out. I was out there fighting for the union.
But if you had, not just you, but if your union hadn't stepped up and it just sat on its hands or ignored this, you don't know what the result would have been, and it may not have gone your way.
It probably would have
Yes.
expired.
Yeah, probably would expire.
It would have
Yeah,
simply
And then
Because
said,
a lot of
people
people-
would have been going, "How'd that happen?"
Yeah, but
Exactly.
see,
Good
we,
point.
we had to get out there and do it,
and they did. It was very
Yes,
successful.
they did it very successfully. Yes, they did.
And that's a different type of experience too, to be picketing, lobbying legislators, and,
Yes.
discussing and understanding the issue, and be able to clearly articulate it to your fellow members to get them engaged and feeling
Yes,
that they're
yes.
part of what's going on, and they're just not passive bystanders from the outside, not really caring on an important issue.
Right. Yeah, we were good. We were successful.
It was.
was
And
very
that's the best
successful.
part. It was
Yeah.
successful. Yeah. Bore fruit.
Because I mean, I enjoyed working with you on that, just trying to get some of your material that you were putting in writing and thank yous and letters to different people.
That's right.
That would have an impact. That
Yes.
people would read, and hopefully that would
It did.
get their attention.
It did. It
Yep.
did. Because we had to go through all that just to the writing up to the different senators.
Yep.
So it was all
It
worthwhile.
was very, very successful, very worthwhile.
Now, are you finding now that COVID is lightening up a little bit that there are more job opportunities? Are there more things going on, or what's the status of
Okay, but I was-
acting in Massachusetts and southern New England?
I would say from right now, it's been slow. I would say it's been slow, but my fellow actors have been working.
Yeah, I don't think the pandemic has been an obstacle or a stumbling block.
Because we worked.
They've gotten around that in a few amazing ways. I don't know if it's just season or the instability or uncertainty may have caused a slowdown, but I don't think it was due to COVID. There were several things that the union and movie production teams have done to work around COVID or work within the confines of COVID. Some of the I think it's been at least one, possibly two productions that actually talked about how COVID has impacted the industry. The bubble comes to mind, but one of the things that simply happened within say the movie industry, they took a look at what the restrictions did and what we can still do within those confines of the restrictions, and they just kept right on going. Yes, there are now a few things that we do that we weren't doing before on movie productions, but one thing that I think is probably very beneficial may be the wrong word, proactive, or just good. Every production, everyone involved in production are tested regularly for COVID-19. Vaccines and boosters are mandatory for most productions. Just that, just those little steps, which whether they're being done in other industries or not, I couldn't say. But just within the movie industry, the testing, the requirements for vaccinations and boosters, that is going to have an impact on the whole COVID-19 picture, where people are saying, well, you know, I'm just going to stay away from the whole vaccine and booster thing. That may or may not bear fruit for them or be a good thing for them in the long run. But the fact that the movie industry says, hey, okay, this is how we're going to keep on making movies, by requiring these vaccinations, by requiring these boosters, by requiring constant testing. That has to do a great bit of work to limit, I won't say eliminate, but at least limit the impact of COVID-19.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you, movie production.
You know, and one thing that I'd like to just point out too is that in your industry that there are a myriad of jobs. I mean, and types of things to do.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's the work that you do, and you know, we've got you know, Harry, who's been a more of a principal, I guess you might say, actor.
Yes.
And Glenn Linder, who's also, he was a guest on the program a couple of months ago, and Glenn's voice is terrific.
Oh my God,
beautiful
doesn't
voice.
he? Oh,
I mean,
boy.
he's done voice for me on my political ads on radio.
Wow.
He did the voice on the promo for this.
Yes.
And but he's also been, I think he was a bartender in Goodfellas.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if he had a speaking part, but he was in the movie on camera.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's different things to do. It's not just a one-size-fits-all. There's places for all kinds of people
Yes,
who
it
do
is.
all kinds
Very
of different
true.
things.
Well, you know, I'm glad you brought up Glenn, because first time I met Glenn was on the set. And I can't remember what movie, but I heard this voice.
Yeah.
And I said, what? I said, what's that voice coming out from? You know, because I want to see the face. And
Got
I couldn't
tremendous
believe
voice.
Glenn was doing, I believe it was, I don't know if it was a voiceover or, but his voice was carried out on TV, I believe. Yes, it was carried out. So I didn't meet Glenn until then, till I found out who was that voice that I was hearing, in the movie. Yep.
Tremendous.
Yes.
But there's so many different ways to earn money
Oh yes.
yeah.
So yes,
in
yes,
the
yes,
in
there
the
is.
industry.
Yes.
Yes, yes, if you want to.
That's right. I mean, you've
If you
got to
want
work
to.
at it. You can't just sit back and expect people are going to call you and say, "Well,
Oh
come
no,
on
'cause
down."
I'm the constant person to look around and say, see if there's any jobs. And say, Chris, there's a job. They're looking for a tall guy, 6'2" or whatever, or stand in, or vice versa. If I see something for myself, I put in for that as well.
You know, there are seconds and there's stunt people and
Oh, yes.
casting and
Yes.
just the list goes on. You see a TV or a movie in the credits. I mean, you see all the different things.
5,
Yes,
7 minutes
yes,
after credits. Yeah.
yes,
That
yes,
folks
you
have
do.
an opportunity to earn a living.
That's right. That's right.
What other things that perhaps we haven't touched on here that you'd like to share about your experiences in the field? That if you're talking to a high school class or maybe a college class,
We've done that.
Yes, we have.
We've done that.
and what do you tell them about the film or acting industry, about your experiences and getting involved and getting getting your feet in the door?
Well, first thing I would tell them to do, take acting classes.
Yeah, the classes are very important.
Yes. That's a big step, is to take acting classes.
Probably the only thing I'd probably mention before that would be a lot of people will have a dream or a desire, or whatever, to be in movies or to be on stage or to simply, act. And a lot of times we allow other things or sometimes people to talk us out of that. Say, no, that's too hard, or it's not you. You can get into electronics, you can get into engineering, do that. So the first thing I would say is follow your heart. Let your heart
Make a decision.
at least have 2 or 3 extra votes in what you do. And then, once you decide that's what you're going to do, go into it like anything else with all the knowledge you can possibly get. If it's classes, if it's experience, if it's starting at the bottom, working your way up, do that. Give your heart a chance to, enjoy this life that we're given. And oftentimes we don't do that.
Yeah. Now, have you guys done all your personal work on film, or have you been on stage?
Oh, we did theater. I'm glad you brought that up because UConn, Chris did a play. What's the name of the play that you did years ago?
Let's see. Years ago, when I was at Avery Point,
And Michael Bradford.
in fact, I was working for Roger Bidwell back then, but I was also a student at Avery Point, taking a theater class with Michael Bradford.
Yes.
He's now the.
He's just moving out to the West Coast.
Is he?
Wow.
That rascal.
He got a job out in California.
I'm not
literally. This in the last. He's just leaving. If he hasn't left, he's leaving within days.
Oh, wow.
wow.
He was a
Excellent.
a dynamite.
He went up in
professor.
town.
Yeah, he just as we were leaving, we call it the mothership. The main campus at the stores called him for directorship up there for their theater program. But anyway, we're doing one of his plays, "Black Like My Soul Is Black," and I enjoyed it. It was about 6 weeks of prep, and maybe we did three to 6 productions.
Right.
But it was beautiful. Yeah, that was my trip to the theater. I loved it.
Yeah.
See, there's opportunities maybe where you didn't expect it.
Yes.
All the interesting people you've run into.
Yeah,
Oh,
and huge name people. My goodness. First one could be Martin.
But just little old me here.
But yeah, I don't think I could have made as many connections or brushed shoulders with as many great people hadn't I not just allowed myself to, do it. Just go in there, throttles the full, let's do it.
Yeah, theater, I think is a nice way to, get into your acting.
Yeah, and
basically.
there's a rivalry between theater and cinema. Call it cinema. They aren't the best of bedfellows.
Mm-hmm.
No, but it's a great starting point. All the great actors have theater backgrounds, have theater roots. But I got slammed a lot of time by Professor Bradford whenever I made a comment or a referral to movies. You make a face and.
Well, Martin, you see why I'm married to this man for 49 years? He's my mouthpiece.
I have been talking, haven't I?
He's my mouthpiece. He
You
enjoyed
two
talking.
are beautiful together, and our time is literally running out here. Where the credits are going to be coming up in a moment. So I want to thank you guys for making the trip down here. And,
Oh, no problem.
It's been a treat to have you on the show, and we will perhaps have a chance to do this again sometime, and we can continue this conversation. But it's been a lot of fun, and thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Thank
All right,
you.
folks, you've been watching City Focus, and we'll see you again next week. Good night.